The people who actually run Bricks and Minifigs stores just went on record, not former owners with a grudge, not outside critics, current active franchise owners, stores that are open right now, speaking as a verified anonymous collective. And what they said about their own corporate leadership is stunning. A majority of Bricks and Minifigs franchise owners have signed a no-confidence petition demanding the current leadership step aside or step down entirely. The board has it. Corporate knows, and nothing has happened. Let that sit for a second. The people running Bricks and Minifigs stores, not critics, not investigators, not lawyers, the actual franchise owners, have formally told their corporate leadership that they have lost confidence in them, a majority, and the board's response has been silence. This interview was published by a YouTube channel called Collectors Weekly, hosted by Zach, and it is the most credible inside source this story has produced. Multiple current franchise owners reviewed the questions together, discussed the answers as a group, and collectively agreed on every response before anything went public. Their identities were verified as legitimate Bricks and Minifigs franchise owners before a single word was published. This isn't one disgruntled owner venting. This is a coordinated, verified, collective statement from inside the system. And it confirms things that critics have been saying for months. Except now it's coming from people who still have skin in the game. Let's go through what they actually said. On the no confidence petition, it is legitimate. A majority of store owners signed it. It was passed on to the board. Corporate is fully aware of the overwhelming sentiment among their own franchise owners, and the ball, as they put it, is in corporate's court. The royalty-free weekends program was next. If you didn't see this, corporate recently offered franchise owners the option to waive their royalty payments for a weekend. The idea being that customers who felt uncomfortable supporting corporate could come in and support their local store without feeling like they were funding Ammon McNee. A reasonable concept in theory. But here's what actually happened. Very few stores chose to participate, because franchise owners felt the program was designed wrong from the start. Corporate built a system that put the responsibility on customers to fill out forms and on franchise owners to promote it. Their direct quote, "It should have been corporate announcing they would provide the royalty-free purchase automatically." Corporate designed a program to help their franchise owners. Their franchise owners mostly refused to use it. Because corporate, once again, made a decision without understanding what actually happens at the store level. On the crisis PR firm, Bricks and Minifigs hired an outside crisis management and PR team to handle the fallout. And the franchise owners that team is supposed to be protecting. They say it has provided next to no relief. Franchise owners are openly stating, internally, their displeasure with corporate's approach, their PR wording, and their lack of accountability. The people the PR firm was hired to help are publicly saying the PR firm isn't helping. On leaving the system, some franchise owners want out. But the 2026 franchise disclosure document has made leaving more expensive and legally complicated than ever. The transfer fee just doubled to $30,000. Mandatory minimum payments can trigger asset seizure if you miss them, and arbitration must take place in Utah, regardless of where your store is located. Wanting to leave a Bricks and Minifigs franchise and being able to leave cleanly are two very different things. The system is built to make exit painful. But nothing in this interview hit harder than what franchise owners said about what their daily life has actually looked like over the past several months. 4 to 5 one-star reviews per hour from non-customers in different states and countries. Death threats, bomb threats, personal harassment online, harassment at stores, harassment at owners' homes, broken windows, physical violence inside stores. These are people who opened a second-hand Lego store to build something in their community. They had nothing to do with Brian Mansell's collection, nothing to do with the alleged franchise seizure pattern, nothing to do with any of the decisions that created this crisis. And they are absorbing the consequences of those decisions every single day. Now here is the part that should genuinely make you stop and think. The boycott of Bricks and Minifigs is real, and it's growing, and the logic behind it makes sense. If you don't want to support a company whose leadership you've lost faith in, you stop spending money there. Reasonable. But here is what the franchise owners explained about how that actually plays out. The assumption is that a boycott hits the corporate office behind the brand, but the immediate impact is felt by the independent owners, employees, and families who depend on that individual location. When customers stop coming in, there are no sales. Without sales, there is no revenue to pay employees, rent, or the bills required to keep the store open. And here's the part that makes it worse. When a local store cannot survive, when it closes, it doesn't create a loss for the corporation. The store goes back to them. It gets resold. It gets kept open under a new owner. The local owner is the one who loses their investment, their time, and the business they worked so hard to build. Corporate loses next to nothing. The franchise owner loses everything. That is not an accident. That is the structure. That is how the system was designed. And it means that for Ammon McKinney to truly feel the consequences of this crisis, it requires an enormous amount of collateral damage to innocent store owners first. The interview closes with this, and I want to read it directly because it deserves to be heard exactly as it was written. It truly feels like we are alone in this fight, store owners versus corporate, and our livelihoods are the ones who are suffering. We wish corporate actually understood what we are dealing with daily. They are so out of touch with reality. That's not a former owner, that's not a critic, that is a group of people who still have active franchise agreements, who are still running their stores today, who verified their identities before speaking, and who collectively agreed on those words. The majority of Bricks and Minifigs franchise owners have formally lost confidence in their leadership. Corporate knows. The board has the petition. And nothing has changed. Everything critics have been saying for months about how this system operates has now been confirmed from the inside. Not by investigators, not by lawyers, by the people who are still living inside it. The ball is in corporate's court, and so far corporate has been silent.